All right, it's happening. I've got my coffee and I'm here to do my annual, I don't know what you want to call this. Usually I do like a best and worst of each year, but this year I didn't really feel like doing that. I feel like it was kind of something I'd done in the past. It was a bit boring. So this year I just wanted to talk about the games that I played and specifically the stuff that I didn't mention on the channel. Sorry, I keep touching my face because I just shaved and I feel like I have beard all over this. Anyway, so just bear with me. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about the games that I played this year, some of the stuff that I did review and talk about on the channel, but obviously some of the stuff that I didn't talk about because there was quite a lot. And this was sort of the year, well, I mean, every year is the year of retro gaming because I play a lot of older games, as you probably know. But I invested quite heavily into older systems this year. So this year I bought optical drive emulators, I pimped out my PS2, I bought a new flash card for my Super Nintendo. So there was a lot of new old games that I played this year. So we're gonna talk about that in detail as well. I'm gonna break this down into chapters, but it's kind of gonna be all over the place. If you haven't guessed already, this is completely unscripted, which is totally unlike my normal content. So bear with me if there's quite a few jump cuts and you know the drill, you know how these things go. So first thing that I wanted to talk about. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one, but I did play a lot of Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 sat on a shelf for a very long time until my main came out, which is Gouki or Akuma. And then once he did, I think I must have sunk about almost 80 or 90 hours into the game this year. So love that game, we'll continue to play it, but not much else I need to say about that game. Something that snuck in late towards the end of the year was the Marvel vs. Capcom collection for PS4, PS5. I think it came out on Xbox and Switch and basically everything. But this is kind of like a dream come true. If you're in the FGC or you're a fighting game fan, you probably heard of these games and no doubt are a big fan. They were a huge part of my childhood. I remember seeing X-Men vs. Street Fighter for the first time in an arcade when I was I must have been like 13 or 14, and it absolutely blew my mind. I haven't sunk too much time into them, so sorry for the shitty gameplay. I haven't got my air raid combos figured out yet. From what I understand from real fighting game enthusiasts, there's not a lot of lag, so it's a really great way to experience these games. A game that I don't have gameplay for, which I did play probably about 15 to 20 hours worth, was X-Defiant. I know that this game got a lot of hate from a lot of people within the Call of Duty community, but also I think it was met with a lot of apathy. People were just like, yeah, it's a COD-like, it's not really doing anything interesting. But I kind of enjoyed it for what it was. It was a COD-like, but it had elements from hero shooters. It was very sort of objective-based gameplay. It was different. It was like Call of Duty, but different. And I liked that. It wasn't amazing, but yeah, I liked that you didn't have to put money into it to play it. It was fun. It didn't have skill-based matchmaking, so I don't know how big a deal that is for you, but it's not a huge deal for me, but I don't know. I thought it was good. It's kind of sad that it's gone, but that's how things go with free-to-play. And to be honest, I don't really mind if free-to-play games die. It's not a model that I like. Anyway, moving on. I started playing the first Uncharted game, which is the version I'm playing is the remastered one, which came out on PS4. God, it's gonna be like 10 years ago now. It was quite early in the piece. They're really good remasters, by the way. Bluepoint handled them. They're the guys that handle all the really good remakes or remasters or whatever you want to call them. But I thoroughly enjoy all of the Uncharted games. I really intend to sit down and play through the first three that were PS3 games, so 1, 2, and 3. And then eventually I'm going to play through Uncharted 4 again, because although I've played through that game many, many times, I haven't played through it on PS5 at 60 frames per second. So yeah, I've only sort of got about halfway through the first one. I haven't played it since I played it on PS3, so it's kind of like playing it again for the first time. All right, let's talk about some of the console mods that I did this year. So one of the big mods that I did, and this was kind of ridiculous really. So I have a Dreamcast and I got sent a bunch of Dreamcast controllers to review by Retro Fighters. But my Dreamcast was stock. I had like one burnt game for it, which I think was Virtual On. So yeah, I didn't really have any legitimate way to review this controller. I couldn't play one game and then base a review off that. So I went on a huge journey, modified my Dreamcast. I got a GDEMU, I think I'm saying that right, which is an optical drive emulator. Basically lets you put games on an SD card and then play them off that rather than having a disk drive. So I did that and then it didn't work. My Dreamcast turned out to be quite faulty. So I bought another one from Japan that took like 3 months to arrive. It was pretty cheap though and in amazing condition. So I swapped out the drive, put the optical drive emulator in it. And then the cable, I bought this really fancy cable from a person online who comes quite highly recommended, but the cable was faulty and then they didn't get back to me. Anyway, that's a whole other story that I don't want to get into. Anyway, I bought another cable from a different supplier that worked great, and Bob's your uncle, suddenly I have access to every Dreamcast game. So I've spent quite a lot of time in 2024 playing Dreamcast games. So things that I never got a chance to play back in the day, like Ferrari F355, Techromancer, the second Star Gladiator game, and a bunch of Japanese games that I never got to play, and some of the Atomic Wave stuff that was recently converted. So that was super cool. Moving from one modded console to another, I've spent a lot of time with my PS2 in the last sort of 18 months. I did a hardware mod on my PS2 a couple of years ago, so I have all these games stored on a hard drive, which fits in the back with one of the official adapters. I have seen that you can do this mod to an official adapter that lets you pop the hard drive in and out really easy. Someone's basically 3D printed a shell and figured out how to like reconfigure it. I'll stick some links to everything I'm talking about below as well. So I think I probably will do that maybe in 2025, maybe this year, not sure. We'll see how we go. I also got a Memcard Pro 2. Is that what it's called? It is called, yeah, Memcard Pro 2, which is basically the end game memory card for your PS2. And you're probably thinking that's not very exciting, that's a memory card. But it's essentially a memory card. It's got a little screen on it, it's got Wi-Fi, and it's got an SD or a micro SD card slot, and you can basically have infinite storage for your PS2. So I've got a 2 gig card in there, which I think is like more memory than I will ever need. It'll also do PS1 stuff, so that's incredible. I've consolidated all the like hundreds of memory cards that I've got, like this and so many more, into this one memory card. So I've been enjoying my PS1 and PS2 games, and I plan to play a lot more in 2025 as well. And finally, the other mod that I got, let me grab it. Old man, oh, feel like an old man. So this is something that's been on a wish list for ages. This is the FX Pack Pro. Formerly it was an SD to NES, SNES, whatever. It changed names, but this is it, the FX Packs Pro. This is like the gold standard, the premium Rolls-Royce flash card for your Super Nintendo. And it's very similar to that Memcard Pro in the sense that you stick like a little micro SD card. Can I get it out? You got a little micro SD card. This one is 32 gig, and that holds every single Super Nintendo game ever. So all the US stuff, all the Japanese stuff, a ton of different hacks and other things as well. So I've got things like prototypes and various different ROM hacks. I've been playing around with the Street Fighter Alpha 2 optimization hack, which is amazing. It removes the loading time. So, but yeah, this is expensive. I think this is like $300 Australian. So that's why I've been holding off for so long. And while we're talking about retro games, something else that I played around with really towards the end of the year, actually like it was December 25th, so Christmas Day, there was a demo version of Batman Returns released for the Mega Drive. So if you didn't know, this is a game that came out on Super Nintendo. It's arguably the best Batman game for that platform. It beats any Batman game that came out for the Mega Drive. But yeah, it was tied to the Super Nintendo. But it had a few problems. It's not 2-player, and you know, it didn't have a huge amount of enemies. So it's not perfect, but it's still a great game. And it was rebuilt in the Mega Drive, and it's only a demo, so it's only the first level. But they've made a couple of really cool and interesting changes. So it's 2-player now. You've got a ton more enemies in there. They've upped the resolution as well. It's not perfect. There's a few issues with the graphics, like you'll see some flickering here and there. And I think they've added this last boss bit, which is just ridiculous. There's so many enemies and it takes so long to beat him. But anyway, it's completely free. Again, I've stuck a link below if you want to check it out. You can play it on original hardware. I'm playing it on a Mega SG. But yeah, you could play it through an emulator, you could play it on original hardware, so long as you have a flash card. I would strongly recommend checking it out. Something I got into, again, based on a My Life in Gaming video, was a game called Prodeus. So I've been sort of loosely getting into, or slowly getting into, boomer shooters in the past 2 years. And Prodeus is, I don't know how to describe it. It's very much Doom-like. You've got like this pumping metal soundtrack. It's extremely fast-paced. It looks retro, but it plays more modern. It plays very much like Doom in that sense, like it's a combat puzzle and you need to quickly move around the arena and tackle priority enemies and get health and ammo pickups, and it's a really good time. There's supposed to be some DLC coming out for it, which I think is called the Elder Veil. Is that what it's called? Let me check this again. DLC. What is this Prodeus DLC called? Upcoming, yeah. So the DLC is called the Elder Veil. It was announced ages ago. Anyway, I'll put a link to the trailer below. It looks pretty cool. It looks like they've changed up the game quite a bit. Now, towards the end of last year, I did a video on Burnout Paradise. It was a Burnout game that I had never played, which is strange considering how much I love the series. I didn't love Burnout Paradise, spoiler if you haven't seen that video, but it gave me an opportunity to go back and play a lot of the older games, like all the way from the beginning, the first one. I even bought Burnout Revenge for the 360. I had it on PS2, but I never played it on the 360, and it runs at a higher resolution, and I think it runs at a slightly more stable 60 frames per second. So I played more of that than I needed to for the video. Honestly, I think there might be like a 30-second clip in the video of Burnout Revenge, but I think I sat down and played it for about 6 or 7 hours. So I'll probably continue to play that through. I did play Revenge back in the day and finished it, but yeah, really thoroughly enjoyed that. And I might have to go back and play Burnout 3 and Dominator and some of the other ones as well, because it's been a hot minute since I played through those, and I really love them. A big purchase that I made in 2024 was an Xbox Series X. So up until this point, I've had a 360. I have a wall of consoles, which you can't see, but they're down there. So I have a 360, I've got a couple of actually I've got like 4 PS2s. Don't ask why, I just collect them for some reason. I've got PS3, Nintendo 64, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, GameCube, a couple of Dreamcasts. Yeah, I've got tons of stuff. A PS5, obviously, but I've never had the current gen Xbox. So Black Friday rolled around and they were, I wouldn't say heavily discounted, but they were reasonably discounted. And I thought, considering all the backwards compatibility capabilities that they have, it would be, I'm trying to justify this here. This is like me talking to my wife saying, it's a good investment, you know, it's gonna let me play my old 360 games. And really I bought it because I wanted to play Indiana Jones, but that's on my to play list this year, and I will definitely get around to it. Might even do a video on it, you never know. Let me know if that's something you want to see. So all of my Xbox videos that come from here on out, if I can play them via backwards compatibility on the Series X, I will definitely do so. I've been playing around with a few different things. I bought Mirror's Edge because it has not only an FPS boost, but it has a resolution boost. It plays in native 4K, which is pretty incredible for a 360 game, and it looks amazing. So you might see a few of those 360 era Xbox games on my channel this year just because of that. Oh yeah, and I got a free month of Game Pass. So I've been checking out a bunch of games that I've never had an opportunity to play, but also one of the side benefits, or just one of the benefits of having Game Pass is it gives you online. So it's allowed me to play some old 360 games online that I haven't played in over 10 years. So I've been playing a bit of Black Ops 2 recently, which is one of my favorite Call of Duty games. I think Modern Warfare 2 is still my favorite, but Black Ops 2 is incredible. So I've been playing, it feels really weird to be playing Black Ops 2 in 2025 online and there still be people. I haven't run into any hackers or anything yet. I guess that's coming, but yeah, so I've really been enjoying my time with the Xbox. But probably the thing that has stolen most of my time this year in terms of gaming time was Space Marine 2. So I was a huge fan of the first game. I've got a review up on the channel if you want to check that out. I really enjoyed it. I played that through on the PS3. It has some obvious issues, but from a performance standpoint and gameplay standpoint, it's a really great game. And I think the sequel really captures what made that one so good. Strangely enough, I actually think the combat in the first game is better than the second game. It just has more immediacy, the impact of it. I feel like I'm talking out of my ass now, but something about it just feels better. It's kind of like the difference between Streets of Rage 2 and Streets of Rage 3, to give you a very esoteric analogy. Just something about, even though the combat in Streets of Rage 3 is deeper and has more to it, there's something about the way that punches and kicks connect in the second game that feels better. And it's the same with Space Marine 1 and 2. But Space Marine 2 is an excellent game. The PvE and the PvP modes is what stole all my time. The campaign was okay, I didn't love it. I actually liked the optional side missions more. So you have an opportunity to, at your own leisure, play some of the, they're not really, yeah, I guess they're side quests. You don't play as Titus in these episodes, you play as some of the supporting characters. And I found them more interesting. It's a really great game, and I think I've probably sunk, I don't know, 50 or 60 hours into it at this point. So yeah, I think that basically covers most of the things that I played in 2024. I'm sure there's stuff that I forgot, and there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't talk about. I got sent so many things to review at the tail end of last year, so I'm sorry if my channel became very much hardware focused, but it's Christmas time, it's Black Friday time, that's what people are searching for on YouTube. So, and also just so many companies reached out. I had to turn down some really interesting products just because I didn't have time to review everything. And I wanted to take a break in January as well, just to like have some time to myself and spend some time with my family. I got a couple of kids, so yeah, it was necessary to take a break. But yeah, I think the beginning of 2025, I want to do a bit more game review stuff on the channel. I've got a big one coming up for Gears of War, so look forward to that. I've also got some hardware stuff left over, so I've got some controllers and some other bits and pieces that I need to review, and I'm sure there'll be other things that will pop up throughout the year as well. So 2024 was a reasonably challenging year for personal reasons that I'm not going to get into, but YouTube was a really great distraction. I still love doing this. It's always going to be a hobby. It's never going to be my full-time. I love my career. I love my job. But I also love making videos and editing and playing games and talking to you guys about it. So that'll continue for as long as I can manage to maintain it. But yeah, that was a long-winded way of saying thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. It's been a great 2024. I'm really looking forward to 2025. Hopefully this year is even better. There's some incredible games coming out this year, both new and on the retro side. So yeah, look forward to some videos on games and stuff. It's coming. All right, bye.